Welcome. I spent decades as a city detective, where every case had a logical solution. My world was built on cold, hard facts, not ghosts or curses. Now retired, I am taking on a new kind of case. The ones people blame on the paranormal. They see phantoms, but I look for facts, because where others see the supernatural, I always find a truth far more chilling. This particular case began when the call came from a small, isolated town, a place steeped in a history as dark as the name of its most infamous landmark, Crimson Hills. The local police chief, a man who spent his life dealing with petty crimes and traffic stops, was utterly bewildered. "Detective," he said, his voice a strained whisper, "we've got a body, and folks are saying it as the game that killed him." The victim was a young, reclusive video game developer named Eli, a quiet man who had recently moved to the town to be closer to the inspiration for his latest project. The game was called Crimson Echoes, an intricate, highly anticipated horror title based on the local legend of Crimson Hills, where an ancient tragedy was said to have occurred, leaving a curse on the land. Eli, in his dedication, had spent months cloistered in his apartment, working day and night on the final stages of the game. He was found dead in his apartment, slumped over his desk, surrounded by monitors displaying the eerie, blood-red landscapes of his creation. The local community, already steeped in the legend of Crimson Hills, was quick to blame the supernatural. Online forums and local news sites exploded with rumors. They claimed the game was cursed, that Eli had disturbed a malevolent spirit, and that the game itself was a portal, trapping and killing its players by stealing their sanity. The few neighbors who had seen Eli in recent weeks described him as a man possessed. A delivery driver told of seeing him shouting at his computer screen, his eyes wide and vacant. The apartment manager spoke of hearing strange, distorted noises coming from the apartment at all hours of the night. People believed the game had driven him to madness and to his death. I drove out there, leaving the logical order of the city for a place where the fear of folklore was more potent than any police report. The air was thick with the scent of pine and a palpable sense of dread. I listened to the chief's bewildered account, to the terrified whispers of the community. I heard their stories of the cursed game and the tragic legend it was based on. But I wasn't looking for ghosts. I was looking for a pattern and a motive, because a ghost doesn't have a publisher. My investigation began not with the game, but with the victim. Eli was a reclusive man, but he wasn't isolated. His life and his work were intertwined with the world of video game development. I discovered a bitter, simmering rivalry between him and another developer, a man named Mark, who had been working on a similar horror game and was now furious that Eli's title was getting all the attention. Mark, I found, had a history of aggressive business tactics and a clear professional motive. He had everything to lose if Eli's game was a success. I then turned my attention to the crime scene, Eli's apartment. It was a digital archive filled with monitors, consoles, and specialized gaming hardware. The police had already secured the scene, but I noticed something they had missed. On the desk, next to Eli's body, was a brand new, highly advanced gaming controller. It was a prototype, a gift from Mark, a supposed gesture of goodwill. I also noticed a faint, almost imperceptible residue on the controller, a substance that seemed to shimmer in the light. This was not the work of a ghost. This was the work of a person, I had a team of forensic analysts brought in. They meticulously examined every inch of the controller, Eli's computer, and the air in his apartment. The lab results were startling, ripping through the veil of superstition like a hot knife through butter. The residue on the controller, it was a trace amount of a specific, highly potent psychoactive compound, a type of designer drug that was not yet on the market. It was a sophisticated, invisible poison. The air in Eli's apartment also contained trace amounts of a powerful, hallucinogenic aerosol, a compound that, when absorbed through the skin or inhaled, had a devastating effect on the nervous system. Now, the whole sinister picture snapped into focus. This wasn't a cursed video game. This was a man, consumed by a need for revenge and professional recognition, who had used his intimate knowledge of technology and a very specific, very advanced piece of technology as a weapon. Here's how it went down. Mark, driven by jealousy and a bitter desire to destroy Eli's reputation and take his place, had found a way to do it. He decided to do it not with brute force, but with a horrifyingly cynical plan that used Eli's own passion and the town as folklore as a cover. Mark had spent months, maybe even years, meticulously crafting his plan. He had been researching a specific, highly potent psychoactive compound that, when applied to a gaming controller or a headset, would be absorbed through the skin over a prolonged period. This compound, a designer drug, had a devastating effect on the nervous system, causing vivid hallucinations, auditory disturbances, and a profound disassociation with reality. It was the perfect murder weapon, a poison that killed slowly, silently, and without leaving a trace that any sane person would find. He knew that the symptoms of the poison would perfectly align with the town's existing ghost stories, making his crime look like a supernatural event. He didn't just poison Eli, he weaponized his passion. He knew that Eli, with his habit of spending hours with a single game, would be slowly but surely poisoned through his skin. The flickering of the game was a deliberate choice, designed to be unsettling and to further the belief in a paranormal entity, making the victim question his own sanity. The hallucinations and the distorted voices were not supernatural phenomena. They were the effects of the poison on Eli's mind, driving him to the very brink of madness before killing him. Mark, in his bitterness, had sent Eli the prototype controller as a gesture of goodwill, a perfect and detectable method of delivering the poison. He was a monster, but a human one, using folklore and a forgotten poison as his greatest weapon. I presented my findings to my colleagues, and together we confronted Mark. He confessed, a bitter triumph in his eyes. He admitted to poisoning Eli, using the town's superstitions as the ultimate cover. The poison was undetectable in a normal autopsy, but with the specific samples we had, the lab boys found a trace of it. He was a man consumed by jealousy, and he had used his extensive knowledge to commit a crime so perfectly tailored to the victim and the environment that no one would ever suspect a human hand was behind it. No curse, just a man, a grudge, and a forgotten poison. Conclusions and reflections. So, there you have it. No evil spirits, no curses, just a chilling case of human vengeance. This one showed me how easily a person can turn another's belief into a weapon. They want you to blame a ghost because the truth, a man consumed by a grudge, is far more terrifying. This case proved that the most dangerous monsters aren't paranormal, but human. Stay sharp.